Hey everyone, it's Prism's Media Spotlight here, and today I'm spotlighting the brand new Star Wars Disney Plus series, The Acolyte Season 1. Today, I wanted to talk about the series so far. I've viewed the first 4 episodes, which have come out over the past 3 weeks, and I'd like to do a review for all 4 of them, starting with Episode 1, Lost and Found, going to Episode 4 with Day. Meaning that in Part 2 of this video, I'll be reviewing Episode 5 through 8, and a few things that I wanted to get out of the way at the beginning of this, that I will be going into spoilers. Not sure how severe I'll be going into them yet, so just be warned. And second off, I don't really care if the series breaks canon too much. I don't. When I saw the trailers for The Acolyte, I wasn't someone who read all the Star Wars High Republic books. I don't try and connect the dots on timeline events or anything like that. I just want a fun series on its own. But Episode 1 was entitled Lost and Found. This episode does a really good job giving me what I wanted as a viewer. Within the first 10 minutes, an epic fight takes place with the Acolyte, May, against Jedi Master Indara, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, which I am really happy to see her in Star Wars. I'm not someone who goes to a movie really for an actress or an actor or anything like that. Sometimes, but I know Carrie-Anne Moss did great work in the Matrix films, and it's great to see her here as a Jedi. I thought that was really cool. The martial arts that they had her do were great. And yeah, it has an agility to the moves. The fight scene has tactics that even the big-budget sequel trilogy films missed. Something that hasn't been really present since the Clone Wars TV series and the prequel trilogy. I also really liked how much the Force was used and how raw the martial arts were. My biggest disappointment though with this fight is the climax. We saw the majority of the fight in the trailers, and I expected that they were saving the lightsaber class for the show, but instead it's over and done with in about a minute. So there isn't really much for you to see that you haven't already seen for this fight. But it is a great setup. I also do like the character introductions. The mystery of the Acolyte and the concept of who is killing Jedi, the side characters, and Jedi Masters has interesting characteristics. Or rather, all the side characters have interesting characteristics. And I really enjoy the mood Sol gives off. Like a lot of people have said, he seems like a wine. I also want to say that I really like the character introductions. The concept of who is the Acolyte, the one who's killing Jedi. The side characters and Jedi Masters are interesting. And like a lot of reviewers have said, I like the character of Sol. He seems like a wise, kind-hearted, and well-trained master. Now, for Episode 1 as a whole, I thought it was fine for a setup. I thought it was fine, but let's get into Episode 2. Revenge/Justice. This is the episode where I really started to feel like I was in Star Wars. I can't put my finger on it, what specifically did it, but this episode really felt like this was Star Wars. With the mysticism, the visuals, the planet traveling, I really liked it, and once again, the action was amazing. The scenes with May's character are really engaging action-wise and are fun to watch, and the scene between the two twins is really well done. I like how there's just a pause in the scene, and the whole discovery of them finding each other. I thought that was really nice, because it's interesting. I mean, it's a really heartfelt moment. Them just thinking they were dead for tons of years, and them just finding each other. And the way they just paused it almost for a minute before either of them took action to one another was just really nice to see. And then Episode 3, entitled Judgment, ironically, is the one that I thought was the absolute worst out of the first 4 episodes. We spent way too much time going back and finding out about unnecessary characters and the rules that it tries to introduce, such as the whole witch and their ceremony and everything. Just don't feel like Star Wars. It seriously felt like a cult ceremony. And I get that was the intention of it, but I don't care for that. I don't go to Star Wars for wizards and witchcraft and whatever. I mean, there is that in Star Wars. There is that kind of magic, but it isn't classified as that. A wizard isn't just someone with a giant blue hat. A wizard is someone that, well, can use the Force. Star Wars really redefines these mystic characters and ideologies, but this episode just doesn't. I hated all the stuff with the witches in this episode. I thought it was completely unnecessary, way too dark, and just boring. The final scene, too, with May literally setting the room on fire, and... why? Why did she set the thing on fire? Why is she so rude to her sister? What is going on with the Jedi? There's some idea that, oh, maybe the twins were not created with a father around. That's never brought back up. That's just kind of a, oh, this kind of happened thing. Maybe it'll come back up, but this episode really just doesn't need to exist. But episode 4, entitled Day, thankfully got the episode better on track. By getting back to the main plot line, but it also has threads that are just completely rushed. For example, May's turn is off screen. There's no scene of her real struggle. She just goes from resting and thinking her mission is impossible to, quote, I am going to give up myself to the Jedi, yet in the scene where she's asked to give herself up, she has hesitation. I will say, though, the end scene is great, but my biggest issue with the series so far is that we already know who the Acolyte is. They might as well have titled the series May, or something along that line, because we know all about this character. The Jedi know about the character, the audience know about the character, now we even know her backstory. I don't know why they went this route, because it's just it isn't a murder mystery. I mean, I haven't really watched murder mystery films, but the one thing that I'm sure you don't do is reveal who the killer is in the first, say, hour of the film. No. Like, seriously? Yeah, like I wrote in the script here, they already know the name and look of the killer. They don't know the master. But at this point, that doesn't work, because the show wasn't about the master. It was about the apprentice, so-called the Acolyte. And originally in my script here, when I wrote this, I said that I really did like the series thus far. But upon thinking about it more, I think it's really rough. I think the first 2 episodes were maybe released in the way they were because they knew they were so good. And these other episodes aren't just hitting it. These other episodes aren't making me just want to, have fun and enjoy Star Wars. They're actually kind of boring. Episode 3 especially, I'd never choose to go back and watch. But, yeah, that's honestly my thoughts on the Acolyte so far.